So I think two very big things happened over the break. And one of those things a lot of you guys already saw at the end of that last video, Spain peaced out with France. So, you know, it doesn't really matter. It's unfortunate for Spain. They did gather up a city, that's good, and France looks weaker. And I did say that I thought that if Great Britain and Spain, if they didn't take over everything that France had here, it'd be too late for them to catch back up and become a great power. I don't know if I believe this anymore, though, because so many wars broke out in the last video. We are in the middle of like a world war, because the British managed to take this Danish city finally, and we're starting to see the unification of Great Britain. They took over Ireland also in the last video. This is big news because this means that if they can hold off the onslaught from Scotland in the North Sea, then they're probably going to take over the Scottish capital. That would mean a whole lot for Queen Victoria if she can manage to, if she can do this. Now, I don't know who goes first. Bam. And now the Umayyad have been kicked out of the Middle East completely, as well as they might even be destroyed if the Russian and Novgorod forces continue to head forward. So that would be the end of the Umayyad, which means that Portugal will be by themselves, and that kind of has global implications, because let's keep in mind that if the British do in fact take over this Scottish capital, then they just need to take over this city from Portugal. And if Portugal doesn't have any team members, I don't think it is unlikely. There is a peace deal between Portugal, the Umayyad, and Babylon. Babylon and the Norwegians and Russia and Novgorod peacing out as well. The attack of Oslo is still beginning, and Finland is probably going to take over this Danish city, but they are really doing it and in very incredibly inefficient ways. They are attacking while embarked, which is really, really bad. But nonetheless, they'll still take this over, and that'll still be a pretty big win for Sweden. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter, because if Scotland or Denmark manage to take over this city, then that's still a way bigger victory. This is a city with 19 population. It's starving, so it's going to go down. But yeah, then this 7 population city, that's going to go down to 3, maybe even 4, and it'll probably get taken over by Novgorod at some point anyways. And Sweden, let's keep in mind, has a very weak ally to the south. Lithuania is not doing so well, even though military-wise they're doing okay. One city is not going to be enough. Well, they're at 20 population, so I got to give them credit for that. 21 population for the Lithuanian capital, but still there needs to be a little bit more. So clearly, Queen Victoria was able to hold off the onslaught from the Scottish. Now the siege of the Scottish capital will more than likely begin, although it seems like the British also want to press forward for Brussels. That is, I would say, probably not the best idea, but yep, okay, the Umayyad have been destroyed, which means that Portugal is now, I guess, teamless. They are individual. They are alone in this campaign. I want to see what Spain does. I hope that they don't declare war on Portugal just yet. I hope they give the British some time to attack Brussels. Well, first of all, they shouldn't be attacking Brussels. That's a bad idea. Also, I'm very surprised that Sweden isn't going after France now that France is looking very weak. The Austrians are still going to attack Bohemia, but I don't think they're going to have very much luck doing that. Sweden's not having too much luck here. Did Denmark do a good job against Oslo? It's okay. It's probably about 75% now. Scotland is going to attack with their Highlanders. The problem is for Scotland, they're probably going to be more concerned with protecting their capital more than anything else. And if they're too distracted by taking back the former Danish city, then that is not going to be good either. Okay, so boom. Oh, wow. So they did manage to take something in the Italian peninsula. So bam, the Romans took back Antium. So they've kicked Greece out of Italy. And now there's going to be a siege of Argos, more than likely. So once again, people still chipping away at the GG alliance. And Novgorod is also returning back for their former city. They did have that city for a while. The Goths are even going on the offensive, but that's probably going to get shut down pretty quickly here, I'd imagine. Barbarians have risen up inside just north of Moscow. Novgorod hasn't done anything else. Remember, Prussia is the ultimate defensive city. Nobody in the world can take Prussia for some reason. I don't know. Rough terrain and maybe the lack of tiles to move to. And I know that Poland's been really reinforcing Prussia by quite a bit, but also the Prussian unique units are here. I wonder how strong they are. Pretty sure they're very strong. Prussia's a very good military civ. So, bam, Oslo's finally in the yellow. And there's going to be 3 melee attacks from Scotland, at the very least, unless, of course, Scotland retreats after whatever Queen Victoria decides to do. They haven't gone yet. So here goes Spain, and now we're going to get into the modded Civ processing of turns. Poor Portugal, man. Even though Portugal's doing okay in Iberia, they're not doing terrible. They have some forces, a lot more forces than I expected. Here goes Queen Victoria. Does she press forward against Brussels? I don't know. She looks like she's kind of going back up north across the English Channel. But yes, this is going to be the big concern right here. Scotland will be kicked back towards Scandinavia, and the British, for the first time, will have control over almost the full entirety of the British Isles. Not completely, though. Oslo down to about 50% health. Denmark will continue to attack it. Looks like Scotland will more than likely take this over. I think it might be Scotland that takes this over. There's going to be a few range attacks that that Denmark will do. Definitely Gatling guns and from the ships. And as long as Sweden is distracted there, this is the perfect situation that Denmark, at least in Scandinavia, for Denmark and Scotland to be in the situation, this is the greatest thing for Scandinavia, because then they can take over Oslo, which is a much better city. Oslo's really starving very fast here, though. Problem is that, yeah, Scotland's going to lose their capital, and this is a big city, 23 population. 23 population. This is where most of the British will get a lot of their forces, a lot stronger. Okay, let's see what they do. Ooh, they didn't do much damage. They should have done a lot more than that, but still, if Scotland does 3 melee attacks as well as a cannon attack, it doesn't matter. I don't think Scotland really cares. Well, I think they care. They obviously don't want to lose their capital, but I don't think they can do anything about it. They are in such a limited amount of troops at the moment. I don't think they can do anything about it. Let's go to the Italian Peninsula and see what we see there. Anything here? They're going to try to make an invasion across the Adriatic Sea, but I don't think it's going to be possible. Greece has lined up the coast with artillery weapons, which is pretty smart, but Greece has lost most of its fleet, as well as they can't even really get a fleet out. There's only one city that can build ships out here in the Mediterranean without being locked off. If they get open borders, then it's different, but I don't think it's likely. Egypt probably doesn't like Greece. Can't believe Assyria is still around. And yeah, so the Egyptians will probably continue to invade the Middle East, and right now there's no great power to stand up to Egypt, except for maybe the Hittites and maybe Armenia. But anything south of those empires, and yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. Oh, look at that. A lot of tourism to Oslo, which might be a big pickup then. Might be a very, very big pickup for these two empires. Okay, so it's in the red. Denmark has no melee units nearby, so that means that this will more than likely go to Scotland, which will be nice borders. I think I'll like those borders a lot more than if Denmark were to take it over. That's something that we need to always concern about, nice borders. Oh, what happened? Don't retreat. Do not retreat, Queen Victoria. This is your chance, man. It's a big opportunity that you might have. See, you're attacking Brussels. I think that's a waste. You need to not do that. You need to peace out with somebody. But they're not going to peace out the Netherlands because the Netherlands are looking too weak right now. And when Oslo falls, I think Denmark and Scotland are going to look even more powerful. So it's actually likely that I don't know if Queen Victoria is going to get the job done. It's about 50%. And she's just losing units that are attacking Brussels. What's Spain up to? Spain is just chilling. Just chilling. Whoa. I can't remember who. Songhai, I think, had declared war on Scotland. And then boom, Novgorod. Novgorod did end up taking that back. But the Goths are there to fight them off. Wow. That is crazy. I can't believe the Goths are still fighting. Probably the most powerful Civ, too. They're fighting off Novgorod, who's clearly the most powerful. Bavaria. Bavaria is trying to embargo Portugal. That will probably pass because no one likes Portugal anymore. A few ideologies, but we'll check on the ideologies in another video. So this is it. As long as Scotland doesn't lose both of these melee units, Oslo will more than likely fall. Because there's going to be a lot of range attacks. They'll probably get down this city to about 0 health. And then there are going to be 2 melee attacks for Scotland to do. Let's check here. Wow, Sweden still can't do it. That's crazy. Austria has peaced out with Egypt and the Moors. They've also peaced out with the Sumer. So I'm hoping this gets Austria to do something, man. Do something. The Austro-Hungary Hungarian alliance could be the fall of Team GG. They could single-handedly be the fall of GG. Poland's really rebuilding their forces because right now the Goths are barely holding on, barely defending against Novgorod. But if the Austrians attack from the west, it's nothing. It's gone. The Goths will be they'll be crushed. I think they'll be crushed. They'll have to deal with too many fronts with a limited amount of units, and it's over, I would say. Wow, Scotland still didn't get it done. Oh, this might be bad. Well, there's another melee unit here. I don't think he's going to be able to move like that, though. Unless Denmark loses a troop or something like that. Wait a second, maybe Scotland hasn't gone yet. No, they did. Oh, man, Oslo might not be taken. Oslo might not be taken, and that is not good if that happens, because that'd be a huge waste. So we might see... Well, let's see where Queen Victoria is at. Okay. It's like... Ooh, they need a melee unit over here. And they don't have any either. There's one rushing. A red coat is rushing over this way. That's also going to be close. Both cities, both very, very big population cities. Ooh, you got lucky. Ooh, the Goths are going to survive for a little bit longer. I think Russia and Novgorod are going to set their sights on Denmark now. Okay, so Norway still lost their capital. This time it was to Denmark. I don't know where they got the troop. I don't know where they got a rifleman at. But either way, Oslo has fallen. Denmark and Scotland looking good, but they're both banished to Scandinavia. That's the thing. Ooh, Poland, Prussia versus Sweden and Lithuania. This is mainly going to be a war between Poland and Lithuania. This is going to be a big war. Two very small civs, but they both had a large military. Clearly, I think Sweden lost way too many troops, so Poland thought they could maybe take this to their advantage. Bam, Austria, I think, is completely at peace now that they've peaced out with Bavaria. I'm sorry, with Bohemia. Bohemia is now at war with the Netherlands, which that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because Bohemia is by themselves. Here's the red coat, but they're still not gonna, unless this is open. If this is open terrain, then yeah, the Scottish capital will fall next turn. If there's no peace deal, that's the thing. This is not open. Yeah, this is technically. Oh, that's a hill. No, that is a hill. It looks flat, but it's not. Ooh, that means 2 more turns. I think. I don't know. Sometimes the AI does some like magical things, and all of a sudden the city just drops. And I'm looking at it like, how did they find? Like, where'd this rifleman come from? I didn't see it before. I did not see it before. You know, they could technically set their sights on Sweden. They're still at war with Sweden, and there's forces in the Baltic Sea that Denmark has. Oh, but they're going to be fighting some barbarians. Barbarians. I was going to say Bavarians. I just want to throw Bavaria all over the place. I just want to say that name all the time. Apparently. Spain, don't mess this up. Wait for Queen Victoria to get another city. Now we have... Ooh, dude, you kind of... That was not a good move there. Poland declared war on Bohemia back in the west, which means you're not going to be able to force your... It won't be as interesting of a war here in the east. We have the fall of the Scottish capital, which means that most of Ireland and Scotland is under British control. We'll see if that lasts, though. We'll see if... I'm saying that if Portugal is going to be able to hold on. I don't think so, but they're going to need a pretty big fleet to take over this city. That's going to require a pretty huge fleet. So there we go. I mean, some pretty big map changes so far. We have France going after Bohemia. Bohemia is down to just one city, right? They had another before, but now it's just Prague. They're pretty safe, though, unless Bavaria gets involved. If Bavaria gets involved, then maybe it won't be as safe. But right now, Denmark is kind of stretched thin when it comes to their military. Egypt has built another wonder. And probably in the next video, we'll go over the info addicts. It's been a while. I feel like it's been a really long time since we checked over the info addicts. But yeah, it's turn 350. I think that's a pretty good idea for the most part. What's going on in the Italian peninsula? Anything? No, nothing much. Surprised this city hasn't been taken over, but there's really no fleet. I think the Romans and the Pope, they don't really have a fleet to take this Greek city over. And the Hittites are still very quiet. The Hittites are in a problem because France is just barely holding on in Western Europe, so they can't just declare war on anybody. Although them going after Greece might be a good idea. But the Goths would be able to reinforce, because I think the Goths are completely out of wars. Portugal and Bohemia have peaced out. Both only just by themselves, no other team members. And Songhai moving through Ireland and the British Isles, more than likely to attack Scotland or Denmark. We have Sweden, Lithuania versus Rome and the Pope. That means nothing. Bohemia now attacking from the west. Oh man, Poland, you have messed up. Prussia still is not building any troops up, so that's a even bigger problem. Because Prussia is really not been contributing at all to Poland. Poland has been pretty much fighting both of their battles for them. If they both build, oh my gosh, Broadway has also been built. That's crazy. Do they have any atomic bombs yet? I don't think we've seen any Manhattan projects. I don't think there's been any Manhattan projects, but here are the Sumer. And the Sumer look just scattered all throughout the Arabian Peninsula. Maybe they will try once again to attack Arabia. Maybe with the help of Egypt, who knows? They need to get a friend somewhere. Songhai and the Vandals still desperately need to do something. They need to attack Cordoba. If they want to be the strongest African power, they've got to. I mean, the weakest point is the Moors for Egypt. Very weak point. So Portugal and the Moors clearly still at war, but Portugal hasn't really been able to do much against the Moors. Now the British are still at war with the Dutch, but there's nothing that will come out of that war, I don't think. Nothing too significant. There's a sea beggar out here, so the Dutch are still somewhat rebuilding. At least trying to rebuild somewhat. After they were ravaged for the most part by Denmark and Scotland. Denmark and Scotland did a pretty good job. So yeah, the Infomatics might be very interesting this time around because the world has been pretty much at war, so the numbers will certainly be varied. Ooh, Novgorod stacking here. Stacking the coast. What's going on with Poland, Lithuania, and Bohemia? Nothing really, just all sorts of random things. Nothing happening with Bavaria or Milan as of lately. Oh, I forgot that Porto is still here in Western Europe. I completely forgot about that, actually. And yeah, so now Spain did decide to attack Sardinia, which is a smart move, I think. Say that's a smart move if they can take it over. It's going to be tough, though. Ooh, so it looks like they're going to be able to... They're going to manage it, though. Anyways, guys, I'm going to have to stop right there. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.